Day of this past week was our 18th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
So I know.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and it was a very joyful day. We obviously spent the day together.
Did y'all spend time together?
We like tried to make the best of it and got takeout from Carrabba's and tried to have a nice dinner. But it wasn't the same, like it's still just not the same. So it's been a weird week. I just, like, a lot of sad things. School, the official announcement, even though I knew it was coming, like in my heart I knew it was coming, just to hear the words that you're not going back to school for the rest of the year, that hurts. It hurts my heart. Hurts my heart for the kids. It hurts my heart for our faculty, and just, I don't know. It was such a harsh ending to the year, So there's been some.
Well, no one was really able to have any type of closure or like tie any loose ends up, and so it's just kind of like, I'll see you soon, but I don't really know. Yeah, that is so disappointing.
Yeah, I know. Like our younger students, they don't get it. Like we can kind of explain it a little bit to our older students, but the younger ones just like this. What do you mean? What do you mean I'm not going back to my classroom? So just been kind of a sad week. Joyful still, still finding a lot of joy in this week and a lot of things to be grateful for and celebrate. 18 years, like that's a big deal. So
it is
a lot to celebrate and be joyful for, but some sad moments too.
Yeah. I feel like we had kind of talked about how we, started off kind of in that just shock, and then we kind of got into a groove of things, and then we kind of went downhill. And I feel like now, we were talking about this before we started our video, like I feel like the funness and the newness of this is kind of wearing off our children now. Like at first my toddler was so excited to be with us, and she still is, but now we're kind of hitting that we're home again today. Like, what are we doing today? Well, okay, like we're just gonna go walk. Like that's it. Like, well, I want to see Granny. I want to see Mimi, and it's just like, well, So I feel like it's just kind of, it's just tough.
Yeah, I mean it. It's getting real when the 2-year-old picks up on things. So Zeke was done riding in the stroller this week. He wanted out. I want to walk with y'all, and then today we live next door to a sugarcane field, and they came and they were disking up the field. And so all day he watched the tractor, and he wanted to ride in the tractor so badly. It was so sad. He just kept watching and saying, I want to ride. And then he made the connection of Grandpa's tractor. So he was like, I want to go to Grandpa's house. And it's like, right to the heart,
So I don't know what other moms are telling their like toddlers, their young children. We've been just telling Eleanor that my parents are sick. So that's what we're just like, because, we've seen them a few times, like I said, in the Fizzo's parking lot in Scott, but they can't get close to the window. And so we've been FaceTiming a lot. And so we just kind of have told her, they're sick. And so you're right. Like, it's sad when they start to kind of catch on, because asked me either yesterday, today, I don't know, all the days are one, but she was like, I mean, Granny's still sick.
Oh, just like, poor thing. So maybe that's something y'all could drop in the comments. Like, what are you telling your younger kids? Like, what are you telling your younger kids about why they can't go see grandma and grandpa or their friends or
their babysitter, like, whoever it is that they see.
Right. Yeah. Just let us know what you're saying so we can kind of compare where we're at with that.
Absolutely. And I will say, too, my dishwasher broke. So, that is all attributed to just the real lifeness of things, because I've never cooked more than I have during these past 5 weeks. And so really hand washing dishes and drying them and just putting them up, got a whole new appreciation for just like appliances.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because during this week, which our laundry load has increased significantly. Our washing machine started making this really loud, scary sound. And I just looked at Shane, I was like, no, it can't. But then the next day it was gone. So
you know what happens sometimes? It becomes off balance.
Maybe so.
When it becomes off balance, it does that, like it sounds like the house is gonna fall down.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
Oh goodness.
Okay, but we're not gonna talk about our appliances.
That's right. Moving on.
Yes. So this week, we're gonna talk about, what do you not want to go back to normal? So a lot of times we are hearing people say, oh, I'm just ready to get back to my life. I'm ready to get back to normal. I'm ready for things to go back to the way they were. But if we stop and think about that, there's probably some things that you're like, except for this and this and this and this. There are a few things that I don't want to go back to. That now that I have lived and am living through this season that we're in, I can look at my life and say, man, this could change. This could change my life. This could change the way I act, my family. So think about that for a second. Like, what are some things that you don't want to go back to? Katie, do you have some?
Absolutely. When I think about what, I guess another way of saying it, when I think about like what habits or what routines or what maybe mindsets that I have developed during this time period that I want to bring with me when we kind of transition back into, I'm going to call it, the real world. Not that this is not the real world,
right.
But when I think about that, I can't help but reflect on pre-pandemic times. That's a term. That's my term. Yeah. Pre-pandemic. And this time period, it's been such a blessing, but it has also been, if I'm being 100% honest, I've had a lot of moments that have felt very unsettling. I felt some discomfort and I felt some real loneliness. And I feel like prior to this pandemic, we had a baby 8 months ago, and it's just kind of a blur that first year. We had her in August and we kind of started to get into the groove of things by October, and then we hit holiday season, and then it's just kind of a blur all over again. And then what do you know, we're in January, February, and then all of this starts. Mm-hmm. And so when I think about my life kind of prior to this situation, I realized that I kind of was just blowing and going, not really paying attention to probably some feelings and maybe some emotions and some relationships and just some different things going on in my life that I hadn't really paid attention to them. Probably because it's uncomfortable to really reflect upon some of those things and really kind of figure out where it's coming from and if there's hurt and if there's a wound, like what that means and what to do with that. And also another part of it is, I'm just going to be honest, I don't really have a whole lot of time to reflect on anything. Mm-hmm. We talked before about prayer time can be very simple, and I am a firm believer of that. But with some of these emotions that I've kind of felt these past 2 weeks, I feel like I need more than just a few minutes here and there to sit with them. And I was kind of thinking about this last night. It's scary to kind of start thinking about just, I feel like in a lot of areas of my life, I'm trying to prove my worth. That's what I was doing prior to this. And being home these past 5 weeks, I really don't have anything to prove to anybody because it's just the people in my home that love me the most and that I love the most. And as scary as it is to kind of sit with those thoughts and really kind of dive into them, I can't help but keep coming back to the thought that what's scarier is that I don't. Like, what if I don't? Like, what if after this is over with, we go back into the hustle and bustle again, and then it takes a few more years of just kind of blowing and going and not really exploring what I know that, like, the person that God is calling me to be. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of different really good things like walks with my family. And there's been a lot of, daily mass. And there's been a lot of really great things, but I just felt kind of called to talk about, like, with this free time. And I know for some people it's not free time. A lot of people, they're still working, they're homeschooling, they're doing a lot of different things. But I guess with the freeness in our schedules, I feel like it kind of leaves room for maybe some of those thoughts, maybe some of those things that we might have been avoiding.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful that those things are kind of coming up. Like I said, it's kind of scary to look at them and really, why do I feel that way? Why do I feel like I need to prove myself to these people and whatever it may be? But to me, it's scarier to not explore that and to kind of come out of this unchanged.
Right. I love that. I love that. Like if you come out of this whole experience the same that you were going into it, what a tragedy, you know?
Yeah.
Like it truly is a tragedy that that would happen. And so
and for us, for Jared and I, we were just kind of talking, our Holy Week, I'm not going to say wasn't very holy, because that's not the word that I would use, but we didn't take advantage of all of the different things that I guess we could have taken advantage of, because it's hard. It's just really hard with two little ones. We don't ever really stop. And when we do stop, we sleep.
Right.
And so kind of reflecting back on that, I guess I almost have this guilt that, like, man, we didn't really make the most of the end of Lent, and we really didn't make the most of this Holy Week. And so kind of looking at that, I'm just like, I don't want to look back and say, man, I didn't make the most, or I didn't at the very least take anything away from this time that I had with my family and with myself during this pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so,
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And when I first think about this question, I think of like very literal things, like going outside more.
Absolutely.
We never really went outside as a family, and now it's every single day, a lot of time outside. The slower pace in a schedule, like we are, every day there's a lot of things going on. And so just kind of that freedom of, man, we really could cut back on some things. And then also like, oh, and here comes Zeke in the room.
He made it.
Yay! And so another thing, like the exercise outside together, like you were talking about. Yep, there's Zeke. Say hi, Zeke. Say hi. Yep. Hi. Zeke says hi.
Definition of real life.
And Ella says hi. And you're about to hear a big fit happen. It's okay. Okay. He's just gonna sit here for a little while. And so also just that time outside, together exercising. We never exercised together. But now like going for 3-mile walks and bike rides every day, and getting Emma out and doing some stuff with us. So that's been new. That's something I don't want to go backwards in. But then when you're talking about going a little deeper internally, and in fact, Father White and I just talked about this the other day too. The increased irritability in things, and just noticing that about yourself. Noticing the weak points in yourself and what kind of sets you off. And like I told him, I said,
will make you realize like what your flaws are, like being trapped essentially in a home with the people that you love the most, the people that you're able to be yourself with, like.
Right. And like I told him, I said, I really feel like it's because of the amount of not downtime, but like, downtime, like idle time where it's not being filled with stuff all day, every day. That you really see it more. There's not a distraction. Like you're seeing a lot of yourself. And so just taking that and growing from it and learning from it. And like I said, like improving yourself. And And then just
And
reaching out to people. That's another thing. Like, not calling with a purpose.
yes, just calling
reaching
just
out
for
to
the
people.
sense of I want to talk to you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Just reaching out. Just
I feel like there's there will be a deeper appreciation, absolutely, after this, for family time, like extended family time, and just time with friends.
Right.
And then, like you just said, I feel like the opportunity to be present. You know, we always talk about that, you know, I say in the real world, that's always a thing. You know, I wake up every day and that's my intention, is to be present to my children, because time is flying by. And you don't see that, or you do see that most clearly with small children. You know, it's like, oh my gosh.
Right.
But I find myself all throughout the day, I'm constantly reminding myself, just be present, like just be present, just be present. And so I almost don't even, I don't want to lose that either, because I do need to remind myself multiple times a day, like, hey, what's going on right now is what's most important.
Right. Right. Yep. I agree. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And just the intentionality of talking to people, you know, like the whole phrase, absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's so cheesy, but it's so true.
Oh yeah.
You know, just, I don't want to call and just say, okay, I need this, or I have a quick question. Like, no, like I really want to hear how, you know, what's going on,
how you're doing. And yeah, do you need something? And if you need something, like, can I help you? You know,
right.
With not expecting anything in return.
Right.
Yeah. And for me, I have such a deep appreciation for our parish.
Yes.
And just all the opportunities. As I kind of was reflecting on these past few months, you know, pre-pandemic, a lot of the things that filled my calendar were things that happen at our church, encounter nights and missions and just different things. And I long for that. You know, we're blessed and we're lucky that we're able to have all of the things that are being offered on Facebook, but it's beautiful, but it's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same as going to church. It's not the same as seeing your people. It's not the same. And I feel like the accountability is not the same.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, it just isn't.
Right. I know. And that's, you know, one of the things, a ton, there goes Zeke, a ton of the things that people are saying to me, you know, just knowing that I'm affiliated with the parish, like, oh my gosh, please tell Father Michael and Father White how much we appreciate, like, that outpouring. And it's like, I hope that doesn't go back to normal. Like, I hope that longing and that yearning and that appreciation for our church, like the mother church, is on fire when this is done. Like, that truly is making our heart grow so much fonder, and just that longing, not just for the community, but for the church, you know,
Absolutely.
for the universal.
And I see so many, I was about to say, the desire for the Eucharist.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like, even thinking about going to communion again, I'm like, oh, you know, like I tear up. It is. And so that's definitely one thing that I hope doesn't go back, you know, for not just me, but for everybody. That we remember how much we long for Jesus, how much we long for the church.
What life is like without that.
Right.
You know, because that's how it is for some people. I mean, in other parts of the world, you know, they don't have the opportunity that we have to experience Mass every day and to receive the Eucharist, you know, every day. And so we are so blessed, and it's just kind of it's one of those things that we just kind of take for granted.
Right.
Or at least I do.
Yep. Agreed.
So yeah, drop in our comments and let us know, like, what is it that you want to take with you? Like, you want to bring with you into the real world? What is it that you want to leave behind pre-pandemic?
Right.
You know,
what changes do you want to keep? You know?
Absolutely. You know, not necessarily just for yourself, but your family, maybe your children, just in general.
Yeah.
You know, just in general. I think when this is all over with, we're going to come out, you know, the goal is that we would come out much better than we went into it. You know, it's a true test of our faith. true test of patience. My grandmother keeps telling me that. She keeps using that word patience, and I've wanted to bring it up so many times because it's so obvious that we have to be patient, but it's not a word that I kind of have associated with the pandemic. But honestly, patience is
Mhm.
definitely a huge part of this, you know. And man, I am not patient.
Right.
I am not very good at being patient, and I'm not very good with not knowing. Like we said before,
Mhm.
I can do anything if I know like when it's going to be over with.
Right.
But the whole not knowing, it just kind of it it doesn't work well for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unsettling.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, what the whole spark to this conversation actually came from a Facebook post that some of you may have seen. Maybe you've shared it or seen it, but it's it is so powerful, and it really spoke to both of our hearts. Um, and we actually would like to pray it with you tonight. And
Yeah.
so we ask you to just kind of get in a prayerful space, just in your head and in your heart, um, and just pray this with us. I pray that the next time a friend grabs me and pulls me in for a hug, I actually take the time to appreciate the gift of their embrace. I pray that when school resumes and I'm dropping my kids off, I take the time to thank the staff for the amazing gift that they are to our family. I pray that the next time I'm sitting in a crowded restaurant, I take the time to look around at the smiling faces, loud voices, and thank God for the gift of community. I pray that the next time I'm standing in church, listening to the voices of praise and receiving communion, that I take a moment to thank God for the gift of congregation. I pray that the next time I see a person or situation that needs prayer, I hope I pray as passionately and fervently as I have these past few weeks. I pray that when I'm at the grocery store, that I take a moment to thank God that He provides us with the necessities of life and amazing people who work so hard to keep us supplied. I pray that I never again take for granted the ability to hop in the car and visit a friend, go to the mall, take my kids to a movie. The truth is, I don't want things to return to the way they once were. I pray that we take the lessons and challenges of the past few weeks and create a new normal. My goal is to pray more, love harder, and truly appreciate the daily abundance of blessings that were so easily overlooked just a mere few weeks ago. And honestly, that is my prayer too, that the things we overlooked, the moments that we brushed past, the experiences that we rushed through, um, all those little things, that I guess that would probably be my biggest personal takeaway, is to stop and smell the flowers. This week, when we were going on our daily walk, Zeke, like I said earlier, wanted to get out of the stroller. He wanted to walk. And it slowed us down significantly. But the reason it slowed us down is because he stopped probably every 2 to 3 feet and picked a flower. And he was so excited and appreciated such a little, a clover, literally, the bud of a clover. And so for me to just look at that moment and say, man, how much I would have been like, hurry up, just put him in the stroller, let's go. Like we're trying to get through this walk. But to know, just say, it's okay. Let's stop and smell the flowers. Let's stop and look at them. And so that is my goal. That's my goal for myself, and hopefully, you too can take something from that as well.
I feel like we get caught, or at least I get caught in this trap of always having to have something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And, prior to this situation, that's kind of how we lived our life. We know that that's not how we should live our life. We know that we should be living our life, day to day, moment to moment. But, life gets going and things happen, and you just kind of get back into that routine of just looking forward to things. It's going to be Christmas, and then it's going to be New Year's, and then we're going to go on vacation, or whatever it may be. Then it's a birthday party. And these past 5 weeks have shown me that, like, life can still be beautiful and it can still be so enjoyable without there really being anything to look forward to. And then also it's shown me, like, what are the things that we're looking forward to? Like, are those things really, like, are they really worthy of, like, I guess, I don't know what the word would be, but in these past 5 weeks, I found myself just looking forward to just some, like, little things, like,
Right.
nothing. I mean, just looking forward to, last night was taco night,
Right.
and just seeing Eleanor light up. She loves tacos. And so, just little things, not necessarily big things or things that, I guess they didn't really matter in the grand scheme anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's kind of my hope, is that we can continue to kind of live this simple kind of life where, like you just said, we stop, we smell the flowers.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite songs is "Perfectly Lonely" by John Mayer. And I was listening to it the other day, and I forgot that it says this, but it says, nothing to do, nowhere to be, a simple kind of free.
Mm.
And I was like, wow, true.
So much truth. Yep.
So much freedom in really not having to be anywheres and really not having anything to do.
Right.
And so we're going to end this week with a scripture challenge. Beautiful, beautiful scripture. It speaks perfectly to where we are in this time period. It is from 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 10. And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. And so that is my prayer. We are suffering. I would not necessarily say that I am, we're lucky. Like, at my house, for the most part, we are lucky. This is not a bad way to suffer, being able to spend this time with one another. But overall, there's some suffering going on. And so just to know that, like, God sees that. He's in that. He's going to restore us. And, we're going to come out of this better.
That's right. He proved it just a few days ago.
That's right. That's right. It's not a coincidence that this is happening during Lent.
Right.
Or happened during Lent.
Yes. Yes. The suffering leads to salvation. So
absolutely. So we can't wait to read your comments. We can't wait to hear what you plan to bring with you after this is over with. And we are praying for and with you. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes. Have a great week and happy Easter.
That's right. Happy Easter.
Bye.
Bye.